Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pinos Palace. I am in the Extreme Studios with the gentleman from the Great Midwest on the line with me tonight. That's RDB. And we're going to be continuing, or I should say, ending, allegedly, our final Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning, a two-parter based off the first one here with Tom Cruise and a lot of other people, and about 67 minutes of flashbacks because RDB, I'm just going to go flat out and say it, I found this one boring. I love the two action sequences in here, the sub scene and the flight scene. Oh my God, this guy could film some action. I will say this is a positive. This probably, except for maybe killing off Ethan Hunt, which I thought they should have given serious consideration to. This is the movie that I felt it probably just had to be, and it just felt like they just put it together and that's it. It's not. There's not a lot of fun in here. There's very little humor, and it's just too long.
And I want to point out that this is originally as part of the one movie they just chopped in half. So that's why it feels a little bit like it's like, okay, where's the rest of the movie? Because this is part two. This, they're kind of closing it out. They do give you flashbacks of everybody that used to work with them, pretty much. He's remembering. And the reason they place that because a major character death happens in here.
Yes.
And he starts to think about everyone else he lost, And this ties into the very first movie as well. Yeah. With bringing back an actor from that movie who plays a key important role in helping save the world, which I thought was awesome because I was like, wait, who's this guy? And then they show you. For those who are wondering who we're talking about, talk about the actor that was originally Rolf Saxon, who played William Donlow, who was in the Langley when Ethan had to drop down and steal the list of agents. So he's on the wire, and then he drops the knife. Well, the guy who was in charge of that, who enters the room, looks at the knife, ended up getting fired. Or not fired, but basically because the hell that happened, it was on his watch, was pushed off to a small little U.S. property island between Russia and America. And he becomes a key figure in this. And then we even get a reunion later between him and Ethan. I thought that was really cool. Not a lot of big action scenes. The action scene we had the last movie was a big train scene. So this is the aftermath of that, where Ethan actually has the key, and he and pretty much he's been out hiding because he doesn't trust his own government. They've already tried to kill him for this. Paid him out as a traitor, and everyone wants control of this key, this entity. It's called, which is based on an AI program, which pretty much is the crappy version of Skynet.
Yeah, everything comes back to artificial intelligence, which, look, the whole concept of artificial intelligence, let me rant here for a minute. There's a lot of different kinds. It's popular. I know people that use it in the business world a little bit. It's a good aggregation tool, getting information from a lot of places and having it sift through it so you don't have to, but you still got to know how to program it and all that. So there's a learning curve. I have a tough time with robots giving a shit about them or AI getting against you because it's not a human thing. They're programmed by humans. And even a lot of money currently is being spent here in the fourth industrial revolution, as they call it currently, between that and the space race and artificial intelligence to solve everything. I just don't honestly, realistically think it's going to happen in the present, not the way people think of it. And Skynet is doom and gloom, but we didn't look at it as artificial intelligence. We just looked at the result and how it affected characters. Here in the first movie, to your point, being a run-on, I think the concept of it and the fact that Esai Morales, the physical interpretation of the bad guy in these two films, while he can use AI to hide on stuff so he doesn't have a digital footprint's kind of cool, but we're looking at the human component to it. Here, it's really just more of, the world's gonna program everything to go off and and kill each other, and that's it. And it's like, it's not scary. It's just there. It's a plot device.
The entity pretty much has become self-aware device, and it's what caused the Russian submarine to sink itself, and to protect itself, because down there is the original source code, which can be used to destroy it. It's pretty much like Skynet ruled out that humans are pretty much obsolete and stuff. So, and it's been using another actor in here too, who's Eli Morales, whose character
Esai
is
or whatever.
Esai Morales. You've known him from
Bad Boys back in '83 and a bunch of stuff to Dust Till Dawn.
Yeah.
I think he's also in Ozark. I think.
Yes, and apparently, like, he is from the first movie as well, if I recall, because he's pretty much killed the girl in the beginning in the first movie, and he's pretty much like the 006, the evil version of Ethan.
Man, he's like a Latin Sean Beam.
Yeah, yes, right? I love it.
Yes.
And him just being one step, ahead of Ethan, and Ethan pretty much trying to play catch up, and Esai Morales' character pretty much knows that Ethan has the key, and he's pretty much like, hey, I need you to pretty much, you're gonna be chasing me forever because I now have this, I give me the drive because and pretty much he wants Ethan to give him over this device or hard drive stuff, and so he can
so he puts like Luther in a tough situation he forces these situations which Ethan has to pull off perfectly, and every time he does, it brings it closer to Esai getting the key, so he can end up being the one controlling the AI after everything blows up.
He's mad because the entity rejected him because he failed to retrieve the key, so it abandoned him, and basically the entity is now chosen Ethan, showing him the outcome of what will happen if you don't give him stuff.
Yep.
And this slowly, as the movies throughout the movie, the entity is hacking into all of the world's mainframes, databases, and taking over all of the nuclear silos, locking out other countries. The United States is the last one to pretty much that has to has a chance to survive. Ethan is basically, after Ving Rhames' death, decides
Luther gets whacked, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Luther gets whacked by a bomb, and pretty much because he was recuperating because he got shot or stabbed last time. The last part, there was, and Esai Morales basically came in there and realized that he had the poison drive that he created that would basically just cripple the AI. Because the whole point of this movie, their plan was to get the entity, go to this place in Africa where there's basically a backup, like a doomsday archive. So if the world gets wiped out, all this information is saved there forever and ever, and their goal was with Simon Pegg's like, we're gonna lock him down into the hair. He's gonna get all access. He can't get it because it's basically it's analog. So he has no way to go in there. So basically, if it destroys the world, it destroys itself. So it needs a place to hide. So they're gonna provide a place for it to hide. And their goal was to put this little cube here and
5D cube, sir.
Yeah, 5D.
I don't want that lost on the nerds out there.
A little thumb drive that glows, or whatever. And they want to bases where Hayley Atwell's character, playing to her strengths, as they focus on the first half, that she's a pickpocket and he can't see her. That's how good she is.
Do you know what the difference is between a good thief, a good pickpocket, and a great one?
Well, timing.
You're right, and Hayley was definitely got the timing. She's a character that popped up, and we've said over the different Mission Impossible movies that, again, going back, the first one obviously is a Brian De Palma special. I love Brian De Palma. It's funny if you watch the original Mission Impossible, what Brian De Palma does now is he takes all the characters and he just fucking kills them all off, and then that bringing Tom here and then the new group and all that, and it becomes his. And a lot of the original members didn't like that. They don't want to be a part of Mission Impossible with this reimaging of it. So the original argument of taking old content and making it new and modernizing like Mission Impossible is not lost on us. This is mid-90s, going back to the early 90s. You and I backstage were talking about Gene Barry and Burke's Law with his son doing it, or Kung Fu Continues started becoming a serious conversation. So even when the second film was a John Woo special and the third one finally became, I think, the Mission Impossible movies as we know them, this movie has everything that you've come to expect. It's just, how are they going to impress me this time? That was the big thing about this movie. So the AI is not it. It's just there to serve as a device. But I will give them credit. It's a shit ton of writing here and a ton of flashbacks, but they're trying to go back to the first film, the second, third, all of them to make it say it's all related and it's all been in the works. So the rabbit's foot, I don't know what the fuck that was in the third one. I just liked it when he shot Ethan's wife in the head on the plane. The rabbit's foot was a part of it. They show you that it was. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Ethan stealing stuff, and he had no idea what these are in here stuff. It all came part of it. The rabbit's foot was the entity.
Yes.
Yes. That he was stealing, And so I liked it. The whole creative, and honestly, they needed to do 2 movies for this, so that's why it's coming off more of a drama and less actiony in this second part.
You're 100% right. If you think this is an action film, it's not. It's the first. It's the only one that's not to me.
There are some good stunts in here. We got the diving scene stunts in here.
Great.
We've got the plane stunt in here too, and so there's a lot of explosions, a lot of bombs being diffused, people trying to survive, and just in general,
a lot of running.
Yeah, a lot of running.
Not just one scene, but a lot of running.
Yes. So basically, the whole point is they want to get the drive back, the poison drive from Eli, and well, Ethan had just he goes and retrieves with the help of the United States government. Basically, turns himself in because he knows he need to get access to the USS George Bush Senior or whatever, and we just lost Rob. And he needs access to that so he can contact this one nuclear submarine that we'll have. It's some kind of analog, and basically, he in order to reach the analog, the submarine is in Russian waters because no one cares about international waters and rules anymore because of the point where everybody's nuclear silos are being hacked, and so he goes through another celebrity actress in here too, played by it's a girl from
you mean Angela Bassett, the president?
No, not Angela Bassett. I'm talking about the she's from Ted Lasso. Oh, can't remember what her name is. She it's gonna bother me for the rest of the thing, because they had Hannah Waddingham plays the Navy like admiral who's on the George Bush, and she's asking after winning over her respect, he's able to basically contact, or at least in hopes of trying to contact this one nuclear submarine run by this captain who basically has been staying underwater because if he surfaces, he's afraid that he might be attacked and taken over by the entity, and also he doesn't want to be taken. So he's been doing that.
It's kind of interesting because you don't think of things like that on a big scale, right?
So he sends his team to this little island, where they can find out, because originally when the sub sank, it sent out there had to be all these little substations that could read sonography and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they put him on this island, and that's where you run into the guy from the first movie, the guy who basically Ethan cost him his job. Turns out he's on the island. Simon Pegg and the new guy that helps him out. He's on their team now.
Yeah, he's the brand new guy. The new
Gatiss, we played by Greg Tarzan Davis. He joins them, and with Hayley Atwell, they go on this thing, and they meet the guy. Only for the Russians to come in and basically want to know, hey, where's the drives? And he's like, well, we don't have drives, back in 2012 or whenever this happened. It's like these guys came in, CIA, and they took everything, and he's talking to Simon Pegg, while they're, because they built this drive. He's like, he's like, in the coordinate, the map and stuff, he's like, hey, the location isn't here whatsoever. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I memorized it. I know exactly where it is and everything. And
they had all those floppies and all that. I was like getting that Indian tear in my eye from the old commercial. Like, oh my God, I remember all that, because to stay off the grid, you can't have anything connected to it. So you had these physical backups.
Yep. A little analog floppy disks and stuff. So what he does, he sends out, at the Russians basically are they're in a firefight with Simon Pegg's team, and they decide the guy runs upstairs and he contacts the nuclear sub by doing Morse code. And that's how they figure out where the coordinates are, where the submarine is. And Ethan, while Ethan's training on there, he's basically running on treadmill. Dude comes in who's basically like Hail Hydra. There's all these cultists that are working for the entity.
This was kind of weak to me.
Yeah. I liked it, because there are people that basically would be like a doomsday cult, because at this point, nuclear war, people do crazy things in that, and I could see that happening. People get radicalized, or they think they're doing the right thing. Anyway, so he has a fight with this guy, only for him to get knocked out, and they even brought in another actor she's been popping up in a lot of things, and it's another girl. I'm trying to, because we saw Carrie using there too in the flashback.
Yep.
But she was just in that not Pain and Gain. They listed here too. Oh crap. Well, I can't remember what her name is offhand, but anyway. So Ethan gets saved by this. He's basically been told, we have this diving unit. It's only allowed to go 300 feet, but you're going well below that. And then there's oxygen, and they talk about how you'll get the bends and all stuff. When you do survive stuff, you're going to be in extreme pain and all stuff. And so Ethan takes this thing. They lower him from the submarine. He jumps down, or basically descends, goes into the nuclear submarine. And I love this. Is one of the cool action scenes in here too. He's on a submarine.
I want to say this real quick as you describe it, is that they do a great job here of verbalizing, hey, this is what's going to happen. So they're setting up the parameters.
And they're visually showing it too.
Yes. I'm not the biggest fan of diving sequences. They do exist. They're different. This one reminded me, and I think you're not going to agree with it, but I think the 2014, I think it was Gareth Edwards' version of Godzilla's fantastic. It's very artsy. And there's a scene in there where I don't want to call it a halo jump, but Godzilla's getting ready to go through this town at night, and there's all this smoke and stuff, and all these guys are parachuting through.
Yeah.
And you see Godzilla come through it. I felt like there was a lot of, I don't know what the words want to call existential sort of filmography. This is almost going 2001 vibe-ish with the way they were showing him floating in the submarine and what would happen all too, not the action stuff there too. So they really put a lot of flourish into some of these scenes. But this is a better than average diving thing, because he's got to go there and retrieve the source code of
drive stuff
and capture it, but he's also got to get it out of the sub, which is really intense. And
the sub is leaning on the edge of this undersea cliff.
Yep,
getting ready to roll over.
It's gonna fall.
It's a tense scene. He's going in there as soon as he opens the sub, the opening, goes in there, seals it again, and then the water goes in there with him. All of a sudden, you notice the sub starts to move a little bit, and I'm like, every time you move, the water disperses. It goes somewhere else, and that causes it to move. And so I'm like, oh, this is nerve wracking. And he goes in there, and he's going through, and the sub starts moving a little bit. So he has to go, he makes his way through to another door. He comes across the captain, crew that's still left there. Because we were also reminded with what happened when he sees what happened, and he crawls, and they show you when the captain originally floated up, because they all got a torpedo fired around from the entity, controlled it, and they hit the tail rudder, sinking the ship, but not destroying it though. And so anyway, so Ethan's making his way through the front, from the bow of the ship to the front, and then he gets to where he sees the captain, sub crew, the other, you can see two corpses that are dead, frozen, and the thing, and then he goes through and he has to get through turn the power back on. So he's typing it in, and he plugs this thing in. I'm thinking ooh, hope he don't get zapped, and the nuclear reactor is reactivated, turns on the lights and stuff, and he goes and he has to make his way through the torpedo bay, because he has to get into this where door is. And as it keeps moving, and just so finally he gets into the little sphere thing, down, gets a drive, gets out, the ship starts to move, roll, and it's going closer and closer slowly to the edge of the cliff, undersea cliff. He has to go through the torpedo room, and the water's coming in, and the torpedoes are moving slowly forward. He's going, which is basically making his way through. This at this point is a video game. Yeah. And I love it. And then as it rolls, you see the room, because they're spinning the camera, or actually that jumped out there and spinning the camera. This is how they used to do it back in the music videos, when they showed for those who remember NSYNC, they would move it's famous for this. They'd move the whole stage, so it looks like you're actually rotating. And they do this with Ethan. The whole ship starts rotating, and you see him going upside down. Things are falling down. He was in one of the sub torpedoes, the missiles in there, nukes. Basically, it pins against the door he needs to get out of. So he's like, oh, crap. So when I go through, he's like, torpedo bay. First one, it's full. There's already one in there. So he's like, oh, crap. So then he goes into the other one, and then he's realizes, hey, my backpack won't fit. Then he's like, oh, crap. So this is where it gets really unbelievable. Because
we think something's going to happen with the sub, and it's going to. So we're expecting that to be the focus. of how he gets out of the situation. But it's not. It's gear.
I love he cuts his wetsuit off, and takes his pack up, and then he pushes in there and he crawls through. And then the last minute, he's able to push himself out. And then as the sub's rolling towards the F, he's able to get out of there. And he has to trick swim up, but then he's swimming his way up with the backpack and stuff, and he's got like the Leviathan mask. Remember those boxy, like kind of like masks? Yeah. And literally, the debris from the rudder pulls him down, so he has to quick cut himself off and free himself from the actual breathing apparatus and swim up. And as he's doing this, he's getting the bends, and he runs out of oxygen, and you see him kind of just floating against the ice.
Yeah, he's all shivering,
you see Hayley, and I love how they do this transit. Hayley, and you see Hayley Atwell basically coming up and then like breathing into him.
Like she's the picture of God he's looking up at, right?
Angel,
going
kissing him.
The light.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, he's in this like decompression little tube in there that she had set up, and it turns out he wakes up, he's in there. And this is always the plan, though. Like I said, like you're gonna need like a different thing, and pinpoint it at the very right time, because you don't know where he's gonna land up on the ice. She had escaped, from the Russian firefight with the CIA operatives' Eskimo wife. They took the sleigh dogs, and they brought the little thing for him. So we're in there, and he's like, "I got the drive now," and Ethan's getting ready like to make out with it. They got like a James Bond thing.
That's exactly what it was. You love me, all of them. Yeah.
Yes.
Floating around in the ocean
until they look and they look up and they see the.
I think he's attempting reentry, sir. Whatever.
So I was kind of like a Moonraker kind of thing, thing. But anyway, so then they basically signal the ship. Simon Pegg comes, gets them. They go. Then they have to Elias, his character says I have the poison drive and you can't do anything because I have it. So you're always going to be chasing after me. They go to, like I said, that own underground, basically doomsday server thing. And then they do their plan there. Only the stupid Kittredge, who basically should be arrested for treason and all stuff, the way he's been acting this whole entire series. Mm-hmm. Says he's going to go capture Ethan. He's a man that the president let Ethan go.
Yes.
And is Angela Bassett, who's still fine looking in this, is Madam President. Promised Ethan should give him 3 days, in order to save the world, and then because she's being pressured to basically launch her nukes.
Yeah, the idea here is that if the United States would instead initiate nuclear war and go after, I think it was 10, 11 major cities and one from the United States, which they did not identify. They named all the other major ones and most other major metropolitan areas. They thought that they could take the hit, and it would look good if they sacrificed one of their own cities, and that could be a way that they could kind of end it. So that was their only real option at the table, or so it seems.
He also had the guy from what's his? Not it's Ron something. The guy, his character on. I'm trying to think of it now. He was in. I think it was Community. Either Parks or Community. He was a guy who hated everything, and the mustache, loves bacon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
bacon
actor. Guy. Can't remember what his name is, but he's in there. He plays the general in this. He's clean shaved. I almost didn't recognize him. I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. And so he's like, and you see him. He's like, goes outside and he's like, basically a private. Give me your gun. Okay, I'm like, and you immediately thought this is a red herring. Is he going to kill the president and take over the coup? Because they're all sweating. They don't because they're upset that she won't give into their demands and do and instead she's holding out for Ethan. And so this comes to play when they have another sleeper guy in their thing where basically tries to he tries to shoot the president. Instead, he jumps in front, takes the bullet, and dies after killing the guy. And Ethan goes. I said went to Africa, went to the thing, and they built a device. His plan was to go in there. The Elias is going, and they're in there. We're going to give him what he wants because their whole thing was they're thinking he has a poison drive, and you're going to give him the entity. He's not going to realize when he puts the thing in there, he's actually just basically destroying the entity. Mm-hmm. while they're going and doing their own thing. And like I said, it works out pretty well. Simon Pegg gets shot in the gut, and like you have the French girl in here who where's what was Simon Pegg?
Palm Noof, or whatever the hell her name is, the hot one that's kind of weird and crazy. There was a nice little scene there earlier where we saw from the last movie where Esai Morales is like, you're going to betray me because he saved your life. And now she's on his side. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy that.
He knew that because, well, the entity was showing him the possible outcomes. Remember when they get the pulse things in the chair? So it's like, So she ends up pretty much doing like what do they call it? They shoves up because his lungs are trigonometry, and his lung is collapsing. So they did that.
Everybody does that now.
Yes. It was cool when I gotta go back and look to see who the first person to do that, But I thought that was kind of neat that they did that, because it's a field thing, to keep them alive. They'd keep, But anyway, he's telling Hayley Atwell, okay, like you got to cut this red wire. As soon as the light turns green, Ethan, when the guy does the little thing, swipes it, and then you hit the green, cut the red wire, and then quickly pull out the cube in the blink of an eye. And obviously she does that. And there's a big giant, almost a legend. Remember, they're told that basically if he did this, he would, the entity said, well, there'd be no technology. All internet, web stuff, would be gone. Cyberspace would be gone. And that's what a lot of the Americans were really upset about, because they like having their cyber technology, internet, and all stuff. And turns out at the end, that was a false move, because they still have all the power went off and came right back on. And at the end, Ethan, is you see him and the rest of his crew pretty much appearing outside some busy street in London or whatever, and they're all kind of looking and smiling at it, and they go their separate ways, kind of giving it a nice send off, but also possibility that they could do something again.
Without question.
Yeah. So he left it out like those kind of endings instead. So, but of course, Ving and Rhames is the only one that died in this, from the team here. But then now they have a new team if they want to continue. Heck, I would honestly, if they did like a Mission Impossible TV series again, but kept it faithful to like Tom Cruise's vision and all the other ones, I would be up for it.
I gotta say this. The couple of things here. We Pixel and I on the channel here did the first season of Mission Impossible, and once you see it, you go, okay, I get what it's about. They've had people come and go, but one of the main things is the main guy that organizes the mission. You always see him in his swinging singles bachelor pad while he's sipping on some vodka or scotch.
Ethan.
Well, exactly. And what he does is he goes through his complete dossiers of agents out there, and you see him pull one or two of them. And then that's who's going to be the group of people that work together. Now, most of the time it was a core group, but some people would come in and out, or some, would be off for several episodes. You could easily format-wise do it. You could have your hidden message thing that self-destructs all these things. You get all that. I think it could work. I think at a minimum, you don't even have talk of a movie for at least 5 years. Let it breathe. You could do something like you're saying, like a Netflix show, whoever pick it up. Just make sure.
I wouldn't go to Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix has a history of doing what
they don't have a history of quality, so put it on Peacock or something else that might have it, or just you could do Netflix or even Amazon.
So the last thing they did was DirecTV had their own channel, whatever thing they did, and they did Condor, and that was actually really good.
Yeah, it's the problem is okay. Like I said, the action scenes. The best one here is where he's chasing Esai Morales, who's got the other part of it, and so. He's literally on one of those old, I don't know if it was a single engine plane.
So, the propeller planes, they had the
biplanes. This is phenomenal. It's very good. It goes on forever. That's the beauty of it. It's not just a few things, right?
No, it's him, because Eli more or less said, hey, I'm going to leave this because the kitchen showed up with the guys. I don't need to be around here. I'm going to leave. And he takes the drive and the poison thing out. And pretty much, so Ethan has to, go up. Well, actually, go over. Basically. So the guy has two analog plagues. Ethan jumps in the back one, and he's hitching on the ride because there's a guy flying it, and Ethan knocks the guy out, gets in the plane, then realizes he's in the wrong part. He has to go to the back because the dials are
funny.
okay.
That was cool.
Yeah, so you gotta go back out, climb this, and then you realize Morales in the yellow biplane is basically hitting took out his rudder, took out his top part, and those pipes going. So he knows I'm gonna crash soon. So his goal is to basically, while holding with his foot steering underneath, try to grab onto the wheel of the plane. Eli's
it looked cool. I got it. It looked really neat.
It was great. And then it crashes. And I love that Eli's like has no idea what's going on. He's looking around. Where is he? And then the plane goes down and crashes, and he climbs down there, and then he's on the left side of the wing, and then Eli's like, "I'm gonna shake you off." He does this and all, and it's just So then the whole thing, the whole fight sequence was pretty cool too. He knocks him out of the plane, and then the whole problem is the plane catches on fire, and he has to jump out too. Then he's like, his parachute opens up, it's on fire, and then he next like, oh crap. But then you see it later on. You don't see how he lands, but somehow he does. He had a secondary parachute that allowed him to basically land on the ground, and he had put the device in together. And
it's an insane stunt.
Yeah, and I guess and that's what I give credit about this. The story might be feel a little weak, but the stunts are great because it's not CG.
Yeah.
It's all practical effects. The submarine and the cage with that stuff, they might have added in a little bit of like the. What do you want to call it? The missiles that are in there floating around?
Yeah, the light effects.
Yeah, like they do with video games,
It's exactly what it is. You put something in there as a source of light so you can change how you want. Yeah.
Look,
I give Cruise all the credit in the world for doing what he does. We know what we're going to get from it. I do think of this as a drama. I can see where they almost said that as far as the last film, because it's not a lighthearted, fun action thing. But what they've been trying to do is build this towards a resolution, and here they've done that.
Yeah.
The last time I checked last week on the numbers, it was doing okay in the States, but it was doing really good overseas. So he does make this movie as a global type of thing. So it's going to make its money. I'm not going to say it's going to be a monster hit. It's going to do well. But yeah, I think it just needs to ferment a little bit, because when you stop the world from blowing up and all this, there's really not much you can do. So you got to let it rest and then go back to some simple stuff, introduce some characters. Maybe you see Palm in there and some other younger people as a basis of a group. You can keep the same format, introduce it to a new generation, and talk about things there. Tom's done a very good job of keeping his cast extremely diverse and multicultural, which the original TV show did as well. That being said, I could see where somebody wanted to argue the case for it. It can be a little bit woke because of the representation of what they have with some of the things in here. I don't feel that it's genuine, like that's the purpose of it. It's just there, and it's a global thing. So I think it's done well that way. I did like a little bit the turn there at Angela Bassett's president when the one guy's like, hey, we need you to go ahead and do the launchers, the codes, and they start going through stuff. And then she's like, not wanting to turn it. And then she comes up with another idea of, no, we'll just do this. We'll just go dark.
I got to ask you, did you like how he killed Gabriel? Eli's
I just don't.
So he opened up the parachute and he's laughing, and then he ends up hitting the rudder and splitting his head open and falling to his death.
Esai is so good that he didn't get a chance to be that in this film. That's how I felt, honestly. He's more menacing in the last film to me. We don't get to see him a little bit, and with the AI, that was intriguing. Here, he's just a guy that says a couple things, and then that's it. It just really was not terrible.
Well, yeah, the more menacing. The first film, he kills Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson. Was that a mistake to me?
I still think it was. They really wanted to set up, change out one brunette for the other brunette.
Look, Hayley Atwell's cute. She's built. I don't know if she was she looks like she's got like stunt woman training or something. Maybe she was one. I don't know, but she's one of those ones that I could see, like if they put on a show, her and Palm, and hell, have Thomas, the guy that comes in at the beginning of some of the episodes on TV. That's going to bring viewers to you, and have it just be about them, and that's it. He just does the special guest star in there, and he can direct it. McQuarrie can do whatever. But here's the thing with this directory. This is the same guy that also did The Mummy, and it's like, I know you're good, and you do stuff great like action, but like The Mummy, you tried making it funny, you tried making this, you tried forcing there. Fucking stop.
You
don't need to do it.
Oh, you're talking about the new one. I'm thinking
first from McQuarrie, the Mummy from a few years ago. The Bob
McQuarrie,
Dark Universe. Yeah. Stop doing that, McQuarrie.
He wrote this along with Erik Jendresen, who's known for a minute. He basically included Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Killing Lincoln,
right.
a few other ones. So yeah. He was part of it. They both co-wrote it, but Christopher directed it and it had stuff in there. But it's actually based on they gave credit to all of this to Bruce Geller, the guy who created Mission Impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I love that.
Yeah.
But overall, like you said, it's 100 running time is 170 minutes.
Almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
Very close to 3 hours.
Budget between 300 and 400. And right now it's June 7th. Yesterday it's at 454.4 million.
That's also international, correct?
I'm not sure.
I think it is. I think it was just over 100 million stateside, and then about 250. Yeah, so that'd be about 4.
Yeah. Well, do I see it making a lot of money? Probably not. But right now,
I don't think it'll hit $1 billion. I don't think it'll hit that.
No. Movies that might hit $1 billion would probably be Superman. I think it's going to come out, and that's the one that's going to hit that. But as far as Fantasy 4, they're doing the same thing with the chick did with Snow White. People coming out and talking about this, and it's making people realize this is not the movie they want to see.
Fantastic Four.
The new one from Marvel.
Yeah, well, that's with Pedro Pascal, right?
Pedro Pascal, and they're doing all this virtue signaling and talking about how Sue Storm's the leader of the movie and stuff. If you're like, we have no interest. A lot of people are just, people like me. I would have loved to seen it, but I'm not a big fan of Pedro Pascal. I think he's in way too much stuff. He's overused. And it's just, I just don't care when people can't just shut their mouth and just let the movie speak for itself,
Yeah, just like I said at the beginning,
I said Tom Cruise
sounds negative, but this movie is what it needed to be.
Tom Cruise is the example of the actor you want for your movie because he promotes nothing but the movie. He doesn't talk about anything else. He doesn't talk about white privilege and all that weird stuff. He goes in there, he delivers for the fans, and that's kind of what I'm going to be missing from these movies ending. I hope he goes on and maybe does some other sequels, some other movies he's done. I think they're done doing another Maverick movie. I think they're doing a third one. I'm not sure, but yeah.
There was a second. If there was, I don't even recall it. Wow.
Yeah. So Maverick, it was a sequel to Top Gun. So
I'm thinking of something else. My bad.
You're thinking of the Mel Gibson.
I am. Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 5 might be coming out soon. But honestly, these are fun movies. And if you're gonna watch this movie, I would suggest watch it right after you watch the first one. That's what I did. I went, sat back and sat down and watched the original. And then I watched this, and it just fit more for me. But if you're watching this and you don't remember what happened in the first one, you're kind of let down. Where's all the action? Well, it's spread out through a giant movie because they had to add in all these extra scenes, because it's a send-off. That's why they did it. And I understand that's why they wanted to add more minutes to it, but it becomes more of a drama, a thriller. And at the end, it gives us a nice little happy send-off. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see what he does next with this because, I don't think we're getting more Jack Reacher with him because that's a big hit on Amazon right now. But
no, you won't.
Maybe we'll get Legend too.
Well, here's the thing. Cruise is look, even from the last film to this one, you can go, yeah, he's aged a little bit. The guy's in his 60s. Yeah. He's still very fit and active. He does do some stuff in his underwear to show everybody that, hey, you can still whatever.
Well, yeah, he's in his shirt in this one. He's shirtless in this one. It's like they're showing off his abs.
And I appreciate, you'll whenever you get an opportunity to take your shirt off in a film, you do it, right? I mean, that's what you're supposed to do in film. You're supposed to show up for the goods.
Well, he's a male action star. He's got to be gotta show off for the ladies.
Yeah, the only thing too I can say about this film that I probably didn't say at the beginning was you have to have watched the other films for this one to make sense. I mean, it really is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the other one you could watch 2 by itself. You could watch 3 by itself. You could watch. You could probably even watch 4 and 5 by themselves without the others to kind of see as a one-off. But it's really these last 2, specifically this last one. You go, yeah, you have to kind of watch all that to make it make sense.
The girl was trying to figure out who was on the USS Ohio, the linker submarine with them. It was Katie O'Brien, who was the actress.
Okay.
You probably remember her most recently from last year, Love's Lies Beating, the one with Catherine Stewart, the flop movie. She's also in Twisters as well, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, The Mandalorian. Where I know her originally from, though, is from the TV series Van Helsing. She came in towards the end, and then she did another role on another sci-fi show called I'm trying to think. It's let me look at it real quick. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Z Nation.
Oh, that one.
The Sharknado one. She was on there. She was towards the end, the final season this year. She shows up in the end of these sci-fi shows for some reason. Towards the end, it's like they need to add additional cast. Okay, we'll bring her in. So she seems pretty cool. I don't really follow her as much, but like as far as she was in Twisters. She had a good character in that. Her character in this was pretty cool too, and as I said, you're seeing a lot of this celebrities kind of popping up or just other actors, Carrie Hughes, they showed clips of him because he was a director in the first part of this. We even had Estevez got to see his elevator death again, because we got to see Kittredge, but we also see there was another guy in here. He was supposed to be like the main guy, John Voight's kid in this. He's the one that's been hunting him down, and I can't remember what his character's name in this, but he's basically he's the guy who's been hunting him down. Is it Briggs? Jasper Briggs, aka Jim Phelps Jr. Because Phelps was Briggs. There was the original guy, John Voight's character, and he's one that's been suing Ethan this whole entire time, convinced that Ethan's turned rogue. Shea Whigham plays him. So I said, like, you got these different actors in here. They're kind of like, I thought it was kind of cool. They had a follow up because I never realized he was the son of like John Voight's character in the first half of this.
Yeah, and you would not know. I mean, honestly,
no.
Really.
So they said that you're really trying to connect it to the first, really original, all the movies together, and I thought they did pretty well.
Yeah, they did. It's a tough undertaking. There's very few franchises out there that can like kind of tie all these loose ends together, put them all there, and then just say, okay, we're done. Usually they introduce things that like Lost that make absolutely no sense and just don't have an ending to it, or you forget about it till you rewatch it. Go, hey, what the fuck is that? And it's just, we nitpick everything, right? When we watch stuff because it's there, it's permanent, we can see it again and again. So I'm more relieved that this movie is over. Like I say, it's definitely worth watching, but I mean, it's different than the other ones, and I understand it had to be, and I'm glad it was in a way because it felt different, which is I think was their goal. They wanted you to sense that, hey, after 6, 7, 8 films now, we're done. And you know what? It's hard to do that, and they did it.
You mentioned that this is a long movie. It's almost 3 hours.
Yeah. For
me, it went by pretty fast. I feel like I was
too much talking.
Sure, but I mean, dialogue that need to be in the movie. Like I'm also thinking, hey, the longer it goes, the longer this movie goes, and I get to spend more time with the character Ethan Hunt, because he's gone after this, and you could tell, like, as the movie ramps up, the Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise is old. he's like 60 something now.
Early 60s, and you know what?
Yeah.
He's gonna keep making movies. He's not gonna stop.
No, I'm just saying they showed clips of him throughout the different movies, 1, 2, 3, and all that stuff, and they call it like, it's like, yeah, you can see it now on his face now. Him trying to be a heartthrob role, like a James Bond role. I'm like, he ain't no Roger Moore.
He brought the seriousness to the Mission Impossible franchise. I will give him that.
Yeah. So, all right, though. So
tonight we have a special film coming up.
Special film.
Yeah. For review.
Oh, the Live and Die in LA. You want to do that one on Tuesday?
That was a request. I was like, that's a fun film. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's check that out. To Live and Die in LA. A lot of people like that film too.
So I had to look it up, see if I'm like, was that the Michael Mann like one? The one that was like the Heat. Because remember there was one that was just like Heat.
Heat was just like it, sir?
No. When we reviewed Heat, where I brought up a movie. There was a movie that was before that was supposed to be like the Heat, but the man wanted to do and said he'd get a chance to do it, so he did it as a TV movie. It was a TV pilot, and that was it. So I can't remember what it's called though. So that's why I got confused. I'm like, oh, is this like the Heat, like original plot thing? But I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I haven't read anything. So I'm gonna go into this blind, and hopefully it's a good review.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see you guys there on Tuesday night. Good night now.
Later, guys. And always, This tape will sell to suck in 5 seconds. Boom. I love that. Real quickly, the analog tape he uses, the president gives him a thing, and he has to watch it on a VHS.
Yeah.
I love that callback. All right, guys. Later.